All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back into the second part of today's session regarding interviews. And without further ado, let's begin with the slides. One second, setting things up. Yeah. So now let's get into the area of virtual interviews, which is the first kind of interview that you're going to face, okay? And when it comes to the virtual interviews, there are some tips, tricks, and strategies that I want to share with you. Number one, I'm getting into micro details here because I want you to be very successful in both a virtual and in-person interview. So let's get into specifics. I'm not giving global gyan. You can get global gyan in other places. So first is when you have a virtual interview, make sure you have a wired connection to your modem because Wi-Fi is unstable. You may have the strongest Wi-Fi connection, you may have a sexy modem, but I don't care. You need to have a wired connection to your modem, especially when an interview is very, very important for you. Next is look at this picture here, okay? Take a close look at this picture and in chat, I'm going to open up chat right now. Write to everyone, don't write only to me, write to everyone. What do you think is wrong with this setup? Let me get your views. Reflection of light, poor positioning of camera angle, light on face, background, eye contact, light of the lens, position, very disturbing. You're all absolutely right. Everything, okay, thank you. I'm going to put chat back in private mode. Everything that is possibly could go wrong with this setup is wrong. Here is a person who does not know how to set up the frame of an interview. So if you look here, firstly, this person has placed his camera or his laptop very low on the table. So the camera of the webcam is looking up his nose. So the interviewer who's interviewing him will be looking up his nose for the next 45 minutes. There is a lot of light above him, which is not good. There's a lot of harsh glare of light from the back. The camera angle is all wrong. So everything that could be wrong is actually wrong here. And that is not good, okay? So you need to start improving this. Let's start breaking this up. You know, this framing, it's called the framing for a virtual interview. Let's break it up. Number one, what is the first thing that we should do? The first thing that we should do is adjust the light. Now, if you can, always sit facing a window. If you can, sit facing a window when it comes to a virtual session. It makes a huge difference because the light on your face from the sunlight will be the best possible light that you can have. And it's something that I would highly recommend. So if you can schedule your virtual interview, if you have the ability of scheduling it, please make sure that it is in the morning where you can sit facing a window. So this is the gold standard, okay? Now, if that is not possible, then invest in a ring light. So you get these ring lights, which are not expensive, for really cheap. You can get a really good ring light of Amazon. I'll send you some resources in a moment. I'll show you that. But a ring light is the next best thing if you are in a virtual interview and you don't have access to sunlight, or maybe the interview is happening in the evening, then this ring light is a great investment. So as I'm broadcasting right now, I have a window in front of me, not behind me, but in front of me. And that's why the light on my face is very even because it is sunlight. Okay. When you want to raise the eye level of the camera so that you're looking into the camera, like I'm looking at you, right? As I'm looking at you in the camera, I have raised my laptop to a level so that the webcam is almost at the same level as I am speaking. And you can put some books onto your laptop. You don't have to buy a fancy laptop stand. You can if you want to, you don't have to. Just put some books to make sure that you are at eye level so that the interviewer is not forced to look up your nose if the angle of the camera is wrong. Invest in an external USB webcam. This is very, very important because webcams in normal laptops, in window-based laptops are not good. No matter how expensive your laptop is, those integrated cameras are not good. You need to invest in an external USB webcam. Now, there are many brands, many varieties. Logitech is a great brand. So make sure that you invest in one because that investment is going to pay itself back when you are in a virtual interview with a hiring manager. Your video should look good. Obviously, make sure that you conduct the interview with earphones. Do not ever conduct an interview where you are not using a headphone or earphone, because when the interviewer speaks, the sound will come out from your speakers and go back into the mic of your laptop, and that will create an echo. Invest in an external mic. External mics are available where you can put that external mic on your jacket pocket or your shirt pocket and put it into your laptop, and the quality of audio will go to the next level. Do not use the audio from your laptop. The mics on your laptop, unless you're using a Mac, the audio levels are terrible. So I'm, for example, using an external mic. I'm not so sure if I can show this to you right now because it's all. I'll unhook it later, but I'll show you an example of what I'm using. I'm using an external mic, and I want you to use an external mic for yourself when you are in an important interview. External mics make a huge difference in quality. Okay. Yeah, Ratna says headphones have mics. So if you're using the kind of headphones which have a mic, not all of them do, but many of them do, that's great. Even if you use the headphones with the attached mic, the quality of sound will be fantastic. Now make sure your background, that's right, Chaitanya, Shure and Blue Yeti are excellent examples, which I would highly recommend. We'll talk about that in a moment. So the background of your virtual setup should be neat and clean. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can blur it if you want. The background should just be something neat which does not distract the interviewer. Do not use a virtual background. Now you may wonder why. That's because unless you have a green screen at the back, the differentiation between your silhouette and the background will be blurred and it looks unprofessional. So you can blur the background, have a neat background, and this is all a setup. Like this is a green screen behind this gentleman. So when you have a green screen, then a virtual background looks terrific. Always stand up and speak. When you can stand up and speak and conduct an interview, your energy levels will be very, very high. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something with you. This is something where I'm very excited about. My team and I have been building this. This is still work in progress. We are about 3/4 way through, and I want to share this with you. So we have created a set of tools and resources and additional guides that you can use to improve your game when it comes to a virtual interview. There are some books which I would recommend for you to read, and you can read them if you want. You can buy them for your library. And then for a virtual interview preparation, we've looked at for a webcam, what is a premium webcam, mid-range, budget range, for a microphone, etc. So if this is something that you fancy, I'm just going to put this link in chat for you, and then you can click it, you can open it up and see it later. And I'll make sure my team also sends this to you later, via email. Okay. So this is a toolkit that we are preparing. It's like I'm saying, it's still work in progress. We've done a lot. We're also going into greater details of what you should have, so you can check it out. Okay, let's come back here. So that was virtual interviews. Now from virtual interviews, that's right, Vijay, that's a problem solvers toolkit. We will continue to expand the toolkit as we progress. My team is working on it. We started working on it about a week back, and we're still looking at resources which are available in India for the Indian market, and everything that we can put together, right from your toolkit of your virtual equipment to your dress code, all of that, we are putting that together for you so that you have a handy list that you can use. Okay, now from virtual interviews, let's look at body language. Body language when it comes to, and by the way, don't get distracted with that list. Open it up, save it, bookmark it bookmark it, and write down in chat and come back into the slides here right now. I don't want you to get distracted. So write down once you have bookmarked that particular tab. But don't get distracted, because then you will miss out on the presentation and then you say, oh my God, I wish I hadn't got distracted. Okay, great. So you've done that, you've bookmarked it, you've saved it, and we will also email it to you. Cool. Now let's look at body language and why is body language important. So what happens is that if you go back to this slide that I shared with you earlier, from the beginning of time till the end of time in an interview, the first impact that you have is called the primacy effect. And the primacy effect, okay, now the primacy effect is determined entirely by your body language, by what you say in an interview, by how you come across in the interview before you open your mouth. So your body language is very, very critical. And I'm going to share with you today some immediate hacks you can use when it comes to body language, because body language is a huge topic. It's a massive, massive monster topic. We can't cover it even in 1 week if you wanted to, but there are aspects of it which are relevant for job interviews, which we can definitely cover. So I want to share with you a result of a scientific research done by Professor Albert Morabian in the US many years back. And he said that when it comes to personal communication, only 7% of communication is spoken communication, is what we say. 38% of your communication is determined by your tonality, by your voice, by the way you speak, how fast do you speak, how slow do you speak, etc. And a massive 55% is determined by your body language. So graphically speaking, your body language communicates 55% of your communication. What you say is only 7%. So write MB if in chat, if you're mind blown, that when it comes to an interview, you're concentrating on questions and answers, whereas your body language is going to determine whether the interviewer has a great first impression about you or not. It's not what you say at all. It's how you come across. So thank you guys for putting your MBs in the chat. I appreciate you. Let's move ahead. Point number 1, in an interview, whether it's a virtual interview or an in-person interview, smile a lot. Because when you smile, a lot of things start happening. Number 1, when you smile, the interviewer smiles back. You have broken the ice. Number 2, you are communicating to the interviewer that you're happy to be there, that you are relaxed, you're in a confident frame of mind. You can only smile if you're confident, and you are happy to be there. That's great. And number 3, when you smile, your body releases a lot of feel-good hormones into the body, and that has a positive effect. It releases dopamine into the body. A lot of feel-good hormones, and you'll start feeling less anxious in the interview. So number 1, smile a lot. Royston, absolutely. So Royston says, problem solver, Amrita, smile, hand gestures, eye contact. Great. That was really good observation, Royston. So number 1, smile a lot. Second is maintain eye contact. Maintaining eye contact is a sign of confidence, that you are a confident professional. Now, eye contact does not mean that you look at the interviewer like this without blinking your eyes. Then you'll come across looking like a psycho. No, eye contact basically means that you look at the person as much as you can. You can glance away once in a while, but eye contact makes a significant difference, that you are very sure of yourself. Okay, now when it comes to shaking hands, there is a science and art for shaking hands. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a moment, because I want you to focus on this. So write yes in chat if you have ever been the victim of a bone crusher handshake, where the other person has grasped your hand and broken your bones, right? It's happened many times to a lot of people. I can see in chat here, 90% of you have been the victim of a bone crusher handshake. On the other side, there are people, when you want to shake hands with them, what do? They give out the hand like this. Hello, you hold their little fingers, and that's like holding a cold, dead fish. It's a very bad feeling. It's like a wet fish. So those are two extremes, and both of them are wrong. A bone crusher handshake, definitely not. A cold handshake like this, no. So now, whether you are a gent or a lady, it makes no difference. But when you're shaking hands, the palm of your hand, the full palm, must come in complete contact with the palm of the other person's hand in a nice warm clasp, and disengage for a few seconds. Okay, let me repeat that again. In an in-person interview, you should proactively reach out at the beginning of the interview and shake hands with the interview panel or with the interviewer. You should do it proactively. The palm of your hand must come in complete contact with the palm of the other person's hand like this. Few seconds and disengage. Do not do a namaste. There is no place for namastes. We leave that for politicians. But in a corporate environment, a handshake is very important, even if the person on the other side is of the opposite gender. Okay, I hope that is clear. A handshake is a part of body language which makes a difference. These are all small things, but they really add up and make a huge impact. Let's go back into slides. From here, we now come to authority. When you are in an interview and when you're sitting down and you want to show that you are a subject matter expert or you're an authority in your field, always bring your hands down to waist level. Because when you do that, like this is a picture of a TEDx speaker. TEDx speakers are trained to bring their hands to waist level to show authority. Even our dear friend Donald Trump brings his hands down to waist level when he wants to show authority because he's been trained by body language experts. It's not a coincidence. So when you want to show authority, bring your hands down to waist level. And when you want to show that you're passionate about a particular role, about a particular job or anything, bring your hands to chest level to be able to talk like I'm talking right now, a little more animatedly than normal. Talk like this so that you show a lot of passion in your work. Okay, from body language, we are now moving to grooming. And most of you are very confident about grooming, so I'm just going to cover the basics here. But even the basics are important, especially if you're not very sure of them. So let's start with grooming for men. Now, a couple of things that you should not do. Number one, do not walk into an interview room with a stubble. Now, what is a stubble? A stubble is when you have a unshaven look. The stubble may look sexy, but the fact is, when it comes to an interview, you need to be either clean shaven, you could sport a mustache or a beard, a trimmed beard, all of them are fine, but do not walk into an interview with a stubble. Number two, do not apply cologne or a perfume for men. Why? You may like the smell of the cologne, but the interviewer may not. And you have ruined your chances of a good interview. So these are things that you've got to be careful of. Or maybe the interviewer is allergic to a particular strong smell. You don't know that. So no cologne. Obviously, a bad breath, make sure you mask it. And for men, make sure your shoes are very, very well polished. It's a strange thing. We don't normally remember what clothes a man has worn. You normally won't remember what I wore yesterday. But we will always, if you can, you'll always notice subconsciously the state of their shoes, were they well polished or not. It's very important. Chaitanya says shoes are very important. It shows basic etiquette and seriousness. I totally 100% agree. For men, you don't have to buy brand new shoes, but your shoes should be very well polished, because if you don't polish your shoes, it shows that you don't take yourself seriously. And if you don't take yourself seriously, why should I take you seriously? So Shashank says, first thing you observe is footwear, psychology. Absolutely. So this is this stuff that you should not do. And then in terms of what you should do, so Karan, we will talk about that in a moment. Number one, make sure that your clothes are ironed. You don't have to buy new clothes, but make sure they're well ironed. Always dress one notch up. I will be talking about dress code and dress strategy a little later today. So dress one notch up. Apply a lot of deodorant liberally. India is a hot tropical country, and if you're going for an in-person interview, at any time of the year, you will sweat. So make sure that you apply a fragrance-free deodorant, okay? And make sure your hair is neat and tidy. Now, let's talk about ladies. Ladies, for you, number one, do not ever wear stilettos for an interview. Stilettos do look very stylish and classy, but they can hurt your feet a lot. So I would prefer if you wear pumps or sandals or low heels, but not stilettos. No loud colors, nothing which is very strong perfume, and no distracting jewelry. Sunil Patil, I will talk about dress one notch up. What does it mean? A little later, I have a full section on it, where I will be talking about dress code. And in terms of what you should wear, you have elegant attire, either Indian attire or Western attire, right from a salwar kameez to a sari or to Western wear. In terms of hair care, you ladies have much more choice than we guys have. So whether it's a ponytail or short hair, long hair, there are many, many options for you. Apply deodorant liberally also, because we all sweat and perspire. And accessorize very well with a feminine watch, feminine pen. There are many things that you can do to come across as a very serious professional. Remember, guys, why am I talking about grooming? Because in an interview, it's not just your answers in the interview, it's the entire packaging. So just me whether you wear a bun or loose hair, entirely up to you. But as long as it's neat, and whether it's in a bun, whether it's neat or loose hair, it just has to look neat. I think the underlying point is that it should be neat. Okay, now from there, we're going to come to in-person interviews. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Assuming that your initial screening interviews are over, your virtual interviews are over, now you will have an in-person interview. For any good job on this planet, normally, not always, but normally, if you're going to be working in a company in a physical environment, you will always have an in-person interview. So let's look at the entire process of the personal interview. And it is a process. There are things you will do before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. So let's look at them together. Number one, always research the opportunity very, very, very well. Do not walk into an interview by only reading the website of the company, because the website of the company is their marketing brochure. So you should research sites like the Mint or Economic Times, Financial Express. All of them have a lot of information. They have sections for company news, and maybe the company that you're tracking or you're going for is mentioned there. So the starting point of your understanding about a company is financial papers. So I'll give you examples once again. Money Control. Money Control is a great site. Money Control, Mint, Financial Express, Economic Times are the starting point. Now from here, next thing you need to do is to set up a Google alert about the company. So let me ask you a question and let me run this poll here, and because it will help me understand this. Do you know how to set up a Google alert for your job search? Just click yes or no, and then if there are many no's, then I'll definitely do a demo. Okay, clearly I need to do a demo. I'm going to end the poll here and share the results. And 13% know how to do a Google alert, but 87% don't. So I'm going to do a Google alert. And I'm going to first tell you what is a Google alert. So let's look at what is a Google alert. A Google alert is basically where you are asking Google to curate information for you regarding a particular topic. Now let's assume, as an assumption, that I have been invited for an interview with Airtel. The first thing I would do is to set up a Google alert on Airtel. So let's do that together. What you need to do, now please pay attention very carefully. Go to Google and type in this phrase, Google Alerts. So I'm typing in Google Alerts, that's step one, Google Alerts. And the first result is the result we need, Google Alerts, monitor the web for interesting new content. So let's click that. And now Google is saying, Vikram, great, welcome here. Now, what is the topic, or what is the phrase, what is the keyword you want me to set up an alert for, that you want me to give you information for? And obviously, I'm interviewing as an example at Airtel. So I'll say, dude, get me information about Airtel. And instantly now, I've got a lot of curated information about Airtel. Now, this is not good enough. Now let's make it better. So let's go to show options. And how often do I want to get Google to send me the information? I don't want to come to Google Alerts and get information. I want Google to email me the information. So as it happens, at most once a day, at most once a week. I think at most once a day is fine. What are the sources? So retain automatic, let Google decide the source. And in terms of region, change the region, or make sure the region is India. Okay. How many results? All results, best results. You can keep best results. And finally, deliver to your email address. And now you can click create an alert. So here's what happens. Every time something happens regarding Airtel, Google will pick it up and send it to you by email. You don't have to do anything. You just have to look at your inbox. And you will be up to date on any company of your choice. Not only company, you can set up multiple alerts for free. And once you have finished the interview with Airtel, you can disable the alert. So now you can create an alert about telecom. In this example, about telecom, about Airtel, about Vodafone, about the hiring manager at Airtel. Look at the amount of information that you're getting from Google without having to lift a finger, and it's for free. So write MB or LOV, write LOV in chat, lots of value. If you have realized a valuable trick that you can use for free and get information about any company or any interviewer or anybody, right? Great, thank you for putting in the LOVs in chat. So use Google's alert for free. If you want to do a demo of, again, how do you do it, you can go to YouTube and type in how to set up a Google alert. You'll get enough information. But Google Alerts is great. I use Google Alerts all the time. So when I'm doing a research on a particular job search topic, or and I want to know what is the latest that is happening, I set up multiple alerts. You can use alerts for any topic, okay? So for any topic, especially when you are in the interview mode, use Google Alerts. Rajshekar says not LOV, but LOVE, E for effective. Thank you, Rajshekar. Appreciate you, brother. So what I want you to do now is an exercise, okay? Take time. Let's do this exercise together. Set up a Google alert for a company of your choice and then write done in chat. Let me open up chat and write done. Write done to everyone, not just me, once you have done it. Vishal says done, Harpreet says done. Okay, awesome. Priyanka says done. Yuvraj says done. Vishal says done. Lots of dones coming in. Great. And somebody's just mentioned done it for 4 companies. Joji, Johnny. A few companies of your choice and watch the magic that happens a couple of days later as you start getting emails. Now, just to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed by the amount of information coming in, if I were you, if I have set up multiple alerts, create a folder in Gmail called Google Alerts. Okay, so then you have 2 options. When the email comes into your inbox, you can drag it into your Google Alert folder so that it doesn't jam up your inbox. Or if you know how to set up a Google rule, you can set a rule in Gmail so that the moment an alert comes in, automatically, without you having to go into your inbox, it will go directly into your folder, into your Google Alerts folder, and then you can watch it and you can read it at your convenience. Okay, great to see all the dones coming in. Super. Let's move on. Next, after you have done your online research and all that jazz, next thing you have to do is actually meet people in the industry who currently work in the role that you're interested in. Let's assume I've been called for an interview at Airtel as a software developer. I should meet a couple of software developers in the telecom industry in India, because software development in telecom is very different from software development in any other industry. So I would ideally on LinkedIn hook up with a couple of people, tell them that I'm applying for the role of a software developer at Airtel, would love to have a chat with you and get to understand the industry a little bit better. Okay, now this is a critical one. Okay, before I go here, there is one thing that I do want to mention. And I'm just going to take a break here for a second. Because I want to, before we go on, there is this question that came up in chat, which is a very important one. And the question was, Vikram, in a virtual interview, I have had a situation where my camera is on, but the interview's camera is off. What do I do? In chat, write yes to me if you have faced that kind of situation where your camera is switched on, but the interview's camera is switched off. What do you do? And most of your answers are yes. Okay, most of your input is yes. Okay, now here's what I would suggest. Remember, there are no rights or wrongs, but to implement what I suggest, you have to be in the lion's mode. So it is very, very rude of the HR manager to switch off their camera and expect your camera to be on if they treat you like an equal, like a peer, and are trying to have a conversation. It is impossible for you as a job seeker to have a conversation on virtually when their camera is switched off. So here are some choices for you. One choice is the choice most job seekers do. They will continue with the interview and they find it very hard. They struggle to speak to a camera where the camera is switched off. Now, if you're in the lion's mode, you should say, hey, hold on, Mr. Interviewer, my camera is switched on, why is your camera switched off? If we are having an interview, would you kindly switch on your camera? Remember, you are in the lion's mode. Remember, they need you. That is why they're interviewing you. They need to fill up a vacancy. Why is their camera switched on, switched off? It is illogical. So you need to push back. It is very illogical. Okay. Now you will not be as blunt as I am, but it's very illogical where the interviewer is interviewing you. You are in a conversation, because remember, guys, if they are spending 30 minutes with you, you are spending 30 minutes trying to understand, is that the kind of company you want to work in? You're going to be working in that company from 8 to late every single day. You are investing for 30 or 40 minutes of your life in that interview. It should be an equal street. So you should tell them, look, this is an interview. Either both sides cameras will be on or both sides will be off. But I'm not going to sit in an interview where your camera is off and my camera is on. That doesn't work. So you need to have guts to be able to push back in a very gentle and polite way. Okay? And you need to be willing to take the risk that they may not take you to the next level. And that is actually a very good thing, because if an interviewer switches off their camera, what kind of company are you planning to join where the interviewer does not even treat you like an equal? It's a signal that you're joining the wrong kind of company. Never accept this superiority complex by the HR manager. My interview switched off, I'm having a lunch, and you please keep your camera on and let us have a conversation. That is BS. You need to have guts to say, if my interview, in this virtual interview, either both cameras will be on or both cameras will be off. You decide. Okay? So keep in mind, all my students in my advanced programs, as they go through this entire change in mindset, start ensuring that the cameras are on from both sides. I'll tell you something, in Europe, in North America, if HR managers were to switch off their camera, they would get sued. It would be a case against them. It's only in India that we as job seekers are like bhigi billies. We allow or we give too much power to the HR manager. What nonsense is this? They switch off their cameras and they expect us to keep the cameras on. This is an interview. This is not an interrogation. Okay? So keep in mind, guys, keep in mind, it is our job seeker mindset that gives the HR manager much more power than they should have when it comes to a virtual interview. And please don't worry, will I sound like I'm very harsh? Of course not. You are standing up for your right, but I know this will make you uncomfortable because you are used to doing whatever HR tells you to do. HR will say, give me your salary slip. You will give all your salary slips. You can't negotiate your salary if you give your salary slips away. Yeah? HR will say, what is your expectation? You will give your salary expectation. Again, you can't negotiate. HR will say, okay, let's have an interview. I'll keep my camera off. You keep your camera on. And they might be laughing and smirking at what you look like. Why? So I get very passionate about this because I want you to understand, I stand up for my students. I want you to stand up for yourself. When you go for an interview, and I don't care whether you are a fresher or a vice president, if their camera is on, your camera is on. If their camera is off, your camera is off. You should be willing to walk away from situations or circumstances or opportunities, because where the camera is off, it's a signal you're entering the wrong place. Okay? All right. Now let's move on. Right. So we talked about researching the opportunity, and let's move to researching the interview. Now, this is another thing that job seekers will never do. So when a job seeker is told that you now have an interview coming up soon, they don't stop to pause and ask and say, hey, that's great. Who am I meeting? Because when you know who you're meeting, it's very easy for you to feel confident rather than when you are meeting a stranger. Because the interviewer knows a lot about you. The interviewer has your resume, they have your LinkedIn profile. If you're applying for a senior role, then an executive search firm will have done a lot of research about you, and I will have created a dossier about you that they will hand over to the client. the hiring organization. So it's a very imbalanced, unlevel playing field. It's important for you to know who are you interviewing. Now I'll tell you why. Because when you find out the name of the person, you can do a lot of research about the person, and you can find out what you have in common with them, so that you can bring it up in the interview. So how do you do that? Let's get out of the presentation. Let's say I'm applying for the role of in data or IT in Airtel. Let's take that Airtel example. So who is the head of data in Airtel? What do I get? Abhishek Singh. Okay, so Abhishek Singh is the head of data in Airtel. Let's assume that my interview is at him, and either the HR manager gives me his name or I've done some research. Now, when I look at his LinkedIn profile and I look at here, I can look at his profile and start figuring out more about him. And I can see that there are 10 people who Abhishek and I know in common. So I can look at their profiles, and maybe let's assume as I go down, let's assume that I know Himanshu Dugal very well. I'll pick up the phone and say, Himanshu, buddy, I've got an interview coming up at Airtel with Abhishek Singh. It looks like you're connected with him on a first level connection. Can you tell me something about Abhishek? You're getting to know him a little bit better, so that when you meet Abhishek, he's not a stranger to you. Okay. Then as you scroll down, you can see whether he's active on LinkedIn, where has he worked, his prior companies. You're getting to know him a little bit more. It's very important to find out the name of the interviewer. Now, if you don't ask the name, nobody's going to give you the name. It's only when you ask, the probability of getting a name back is about 70%. Not 100%, but 70% of the time, you will be told the name of the person you're meeting, especially if you move to your ultimate meetings with the hiring manager or the head of HR. You will always be told, because look, it's an interview. It's not a top secret. Let me look at some very interesting comments which have come in chat regarding this, because I know it drives people nuts when I say find out and then research the name of the interviewer. Okay, so let me look at this. Give me a second. Somebody says, we won't be having info on the name. Of course you won't. You have to find out that information. Another person says, mostly we don't know the interviewer who will be taking. You won't know the name. When the interview is set up, you have to reach out to HR or whoever has set up the interview and say, fantastic, I'm looking forward to the interview. Who am I going to be meeting? If they are, guys, remember, you are not a job seeker. You're a problem solver. If the company has investing time in meeting you, find out who am I meeting. Don't go on a blind date. Find out who's the person on the other side. Vivek Sethi says we can check the name if you know the name. Exactly. When you know the name of the person you're meeting, check out the entire LinkedIn profile. Usko nichod lo, figure out where are the common connections, what have they done in the past. You can bring it up in the interview. You can strike a rapport. When the person knows that you have looked at their LinkedIn profile, they will appreciate the fact that you have researched up on them. Okay. So keep in mind, so someone says HR doesn't give names even if you ask. So listen, push back and say to HR, why aren't you giving me the name? If this is an interview where you are interviewing me, why is the interviewer's name top secret? What is the logic? And this is to this lady who's saying HR doesn't give names even if you ask. Have you pushed back? And the answer is no, you haven't. Have you pushed back and saying, why aren't you giving me the names? Please give me some logic. Guys, you have to have guts. You have to push back in an interview. When you are interviewing, either you can be a bhigi billy or you can be in the lion's mode. Okay, all right, let me move on. Now, from here, once you know the name of the person and you have researched the interviewer really well, you will have established rapport with the person. Let me give you an example of this student of mine in my advanced program, Jignesh. Jignesh wrote in and said, focus on the last paragraph of my conversation with him. My structured LinkedIn profile showcased my authority, etc., etc., and focus on what I've highlighted in blue. I checked out the interviewer's LinkedIn profile, which the interviewer noticed and appreciated me during the interview. That's what you need to do. You need to bring it up during the interview that, hey, listen, I've looked at your profile. I really admire what you have done, XYZ. you are stroking the ego of the interviewer. Then you need to research the salary for the role you're applying for. This is critical because you don't want to prepare for an interview where the salary levels are much lower than what you want. I'm sure you have a number in your mind regarding any job you're applying for, but you need to know, is that interview for that company meeting your requirements or not? This is not about telling the HR manager what is your expectation. This is about actually figuring out, is your expectation going to match with what the company can hire, can pay. So how do you do that? There are two sites, Ambition Box and Glassdoor, which work very well. And let's take this example of software engineer role. Okay, so go to Ambition Box, Airtel India, software engineer salaries as an example. And straight away I can see, let me open this up. Okay, and let's go right to the top. Airtel Digital, software engineer salaries updated for 2025. The range is between 12 lakhs and 18 lakhs. Now you know whether that salary is something that meets your requirements and whether you should go for the interview or not. If you go for an interview without knowing the salary range, then you're shooting in the dark. You're like that guy who's blindfolded trying to hit the target. So you can use Ambition Box. You can also scroll down and see what are other companies paying for the same role. So Ambition Box is a great place to get started. Or you can use Glassdoor. Glassdoor India also has exactly the same kind of information. So Ambition Box and Glassdoor is where you research your salary. Now, for example, at ITC, for a particular role as a brand manager, the average salary is 30 lakhs, according to Ambition Box. Now keep in mind that these salaries are slightly underinflated, so you need to multiply it by a factor of 1.25 to arrive at the actual salary. Almost all salaries are underinflated. So when you look at a salary on Ambition Box or Glassdoor, multiplied by 1.25 to get a more accurate picture. Now here I am saying that a brand manager in India with ITC with 2 years of experience makes 30 lakhs a year. Now, if that is a salary which suits me, then I should prepare for the brand manager interview. If it is much lower than my expectation, I shouldn't be wasting my time. Okay. Always then also go to researching the interview, the job description. Now, here is something you've got to understand. For most good jobs, there is always a job description. And a job description will tell you what the HR manager wants. Because the job description has keywords, has names, has terms, has words, which the HR manager is looking for when they interview you. For example, as a data scientist at Shell, it is mentioning here that they want to see somebody with experience in machine learning, data quality. Because that is what the HR manager wants to hear. When you do that, you start syncing with their experience, with their expectation. The job description can be a very valuable asset when you extract some keywords from the JD and repeat them back in the interview, because that is what the manager wants to hear. Okay. All right, guys in chat, listen, guys, I've mentioned this. I have 600 people in the meeting. I cannot stop and answer your questions in chat. I'll try to take Q&A towards the end of the session. Chat is going crazy right now because I'm getting into this particular topic, but please be logical and reasonable. How can I stop and answer questions in chat right now when I'm teaching? I can do only one of them, and I would prefer to teach you. So just pause, understand. Okay, I could either get chat moderated by my team, but then you won't get feedback from me, or I can teach, or I can do Q&A in the end. So please pause with your questions and comment, because I'm not even reading them. Chat is scrolling on the side very, very fast right now, and I cannot stop and pause and read that. I want to focus on teaching you so you derive value. You may or may not have contrarian points of view, and I respect that. That's fine. That's what we're here for as mature individuals. My aim is to open up windows in your mind. Okay. Now, so the bottom line is, never walk into the interview room blind. Try to understand, who are you meeting? What is the salary range? What is the kind of work that's required to be done? interview and meet people who hold that kind of role in the industry. So there's a lot of work that you have to do before you get into the interview room, because you are playing a game of strategy and chess against the interviewer. Now, in an in-person interview, remember, it's all about packaging. It's not just your skill set, because for any interview, when 4 or 5 people are called, they have already been filtered where they have almost similar skill set, almost similar experience. They come from almost similar companies, types of companies or industries. So you have to stand out from your competition. Now I'm going to show you how do you stand out. What do you carry for that interview? And when I ask most job seekers, what do you carry for the interview? Most people will say, I carry my pen, I carry my resumes, or some of the extra smart ones will say, I carry confidence. That's good, but let's make it better, because you are in the lion's mode. Number one, always carry a very, very smart leather bag for an interview. You're professionally dressed. We'll talk about dress sense in a moment. But that leather bag should carry your resumes, your notepads, etc. They should not be the bag you carry to work in office, like a computer laptop bag. There should be a smart bag. The picture on the left is the picture for men. The picture on the right is a picture for women. And in the toolkit, I've given you some links. We are also putting the links together. I've given you some links for what kind of bags you should look at. They're not expensive. And on Amazon, you can buy all these kind of bags. So once again, the picture on the left is a picture for men. The one on the right is a more feminine bag for ladies. So again, even if you're a fresher, a bag like this will make you come across as somebody who takes himself very, very seriously. Okay. In that bag, you need to carry 3 copies of your resume, 1 copy for yourself, 1 copy for the interviewer, and 1 copy as a backup. Now we come to something very interesting, which will hopefully expand your mind a little bit more. You need to have business cards promoting you as a brand in the market. What do I mean by that? Many of you who are working have business cards, right? So in chat, just humor me for a moment and write yes if you're working and have business cards. How many of you have business cards? All of you have. Okay, by and large, almost everybody. But in that business card, the brand being built is the brand of the company you're working for. Your name may be there, but it's with the company logo, it's with the company. And that is the wrong kind of way of building your brand in an interview, because in an interview, you are the brand, you are the company. So what we're going to do now is we're going to build business cards for you, where in the business card, which you're going to present in an interview, you are going to have your name, your mobile number, email address, residential address, and your value statement. What is the value that you bring to the table in the interview because of which I should hire you? So if there are 4 people called for an interview, if you are one of them and if you have a business card, your value statement becomes more evident than people who don't have it. So here are examples of value statements. Now imagine if you are the hiring manager and you are hiring an HR manager, and his value statement or her value statement is, I help organizations hire the best talent twice as fast at half the cost. Awesome, I would love to meet somebody like that. Or if you're hiring a sales manager, I help organizations exceed revenue goals by focusing on profitable growth. I would love to hire somebody like that. Or if you're an IT, I help remember the magic phrase is, I help organizations. I help organizations efficiently scale by leveraging cutting edge technology. It's your value statement. Remember, you have to stand out from the crowd. And somebody mentions, won't that be an overkill? No, because it's a hyper competitive cutthroat market. You may be competing in an interview with people better than you in terms of skills or talent, smarter than you. How do you compensate? So you need to be able to demonstrate your value statement in a business card. Now, when is a business card used? When you walk into the office where, let me just stop sharing and I'll come back to it. Where do you use a business card? In 2 situations. Let's assume that you're invited for an interview in XYZ company. It's a fine Tuesday afternoon. You're invited for the interview. You walk into the office, go into the reception area. The receptionist says, good afternoon, Mr. Anand. How can I help you? So I would say, I have an interview with Mr. Kumar. Here is my business card. she or he will take the business card, walk into the interview room, tell Kumar that Vikram Anand has arrived, here is his business card. Now what happens? This is a small art of psychology. Kumar will look at my business card. He knows that he's got an appointment with me. He'll read my value statement. And he's reading my value statement even before I walk into the interview room. I have already framed what to expect from me even before I walk in. My brand has walked into the interview room before I have walked in. So that is one use case. The second use case tomorrow, when we learn about networking, when you are networking with people for jobs, hand over your business card building your brand. Don't hand over the business card of your current employer building their brand. Okay, let's go back and I'll show you now how to build a business card. So the construct of your value statement is, I help organizations with a particular benefit, and how do you do that? So whichever background you come from, the value statement is very important in a business card. So what I want you to do is, let's do this exercise together. I'll do a demo of how do you create a card, but I want you to create your value statement. Okay, we'll come to this later. So on a piece of paper, please write down your value statement, which start with, I help organizations ... As an example, here are 3 examples. Do it, and then I'm going to ask you to come on camera and share your value statement, and I'll give you feedback. I'll give you real-time feedback on it. Okay, so let's have you on board, and you can put your view option in multi-speaker. Raise your hand if you would like to share your value statement with me. I'll give you feedback. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. We'll keep it very short. This is a short exercise and we'll go back into teaching. Shiv, you're first on my screen right now. Over to you. What's your value statement?
Yes, Anand. So I've written it like this. I help organization build efficient processes and build effective risk strategies.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is remove the and effective strategies. I help organization build XYZ through my skills in. So how do you do that? How do you help them? You mentioned the what, but you haven't mentioned the how. So therefore, keep it short.
Okay.
I help organizations with what and then how. Okay, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me move to Shankar Ganesh. Shankar, over to you. What is your value statement?
How I wrote this, I help organizations to maintain a consistent quality in my work with the team.
It could be better. I help organizations to maintain consistent work through my skills in project management, or through my skills in, how. If you say with the team, then you're not adding value to yourself. So you're mentioning the what, but the how could be sharper. You need to work on it a little bit more. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Vishal, over to you.
Yeah, hello, Vikram.
Hi. Good.
Okay, so I have written, I help organizations leverage automation and through AI, generative AI and AI-driven solutions.
Okay, just repeat it back again.
So I help organizations leverage AI-driven automation to streamline processes, reduce cost, and unlock new opportunities for growth.
So I help organizations streamline their processes through my skills in AI generation, etc. So talk about the benefit to the organization. So I help organizations how? Sorry, the what is, I help organizations streamline their processes. How? Through my skills in AI generation. You can fill that. And keep it very, very short, because in a business card, you won't have enough space to write a long word. Okay. All right. Moving on. Abhishek Dhawan. Abhishek, over to you.
I help organizations optimizing sales performance and revenue growth through people, process, and technology.
Very good. If you can put that into the business card, excellent. And if you find that maybe you don't have enough space, then you may have to drop 1 or 2 words. But I think you're headed in the right direction. Well done, Abhishek. Good stuff. Okay. Let me move to Vinod Jain. Vinod Jain, over to you. What is your value statement?
So I have written, I help organization in improving productivity and competitive cost through my skills in Lean Six Sigma.
Very nice. Perfect. Again, the only thing is, if you find you're running short of space, you have mentioned how you help the organization in 2 areas. You may have to drop it to 1. Let's keep, depending on how much space you find in the business card. When I show you a demo of that, you'll be able to figure out. Well done. Okay. Aryavat, chalo, aap aa jao. What is your value statement?
I have written, sir, I help all organizations secure its infrastructure efficiently by leveraging cutting edge AI technology.
Awesome. Works. That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me move on to Aparna Mathur. Aparna, over to you. What is your value statement?
I have mentioned I help organization to improve on quality through my project management skills.
Okay. I would change. I help organizations improve quality to make it a little better. So when you have time, you can do that, because the second part of your brand statement is fine. The value statement is fine. I help organizations dramatically improve quality. Add an adjective to improving quality. That's missing here. So make it sound very appealing and exciting. I help organizations surge in quality. So use a power word. What's missing is a power word, and then I think it'll be fine. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ma Sinker, over to you. We haven't met yet. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's Mayur, actually. I don't know. It's misspelled. Yeah. So my value statement be: I help organization.
I can't hear you. There's an audio break. There's a significant audio break. Listen, we are having a significant audio break with you. I'll come back to you later. BK Srikanth, over to you.
Thank you. I made like this. I help organization to mobilize the funds by managing efficiently.
I help organizations mobilize funds. I would say I help organizations strategically. No, you need to add something to mobilize funds. There needs to be an adjective. That adjective is missing. I help organizations mobilize funds faster, like in a shorter period of time. Or I help organizations get funds at the lowest possible cost. There's something missing there right now. That's what you need to work on. Yeah.
In fact, I'm from finance background, so this makes more sense, right?
Yeah. It makes sense. I don't think what's missing here is that the appeal of mobilizing funds could be a little sharper and a little more appealing. That's missing.
Understood. I'll do it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys. I'm just going to go back. We're now running short time, but you got an idea of how to create statements. Now let's do a walkthrough. How do you create a business card to put your statement? So with that said, I'm going to go back into the slide mode. Give me a minute. Okay. 1 second. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a business card, and I'm going to show you a demo of how do you create a business card for yourself. A business card which you not only create, but which will be delivered to your doorstep in 3 working days from the time you design it. Okay. So here, by the way, in fact, I'll show you, those are examples of your competition who are developing business cards. So these are students of previous batches who have created business cards using the demo which I'm about to show you. And you may not be able to see their business cards. And these are job seekers now in the problem solver mode. But they are presenting these business cards in interviews and they're getting shortlisted. So remember, you are in a very, very, very competitive mode. When it comes to interviews, you need to be the top of your game. So now let's talk about a demo. Okay, guys, don't put your problem statements, your value statements in chat because I'm not looking at that. Let's now look at Vistaprint. So you need to go to a site called vistaprint.in. And I'm going to put the link in chat for you. Once you come here, you need to go to this tab, visiting cards, click that. And let's scroll down and you will see various kinds of cards. So let's take rounded cards as an example. And you can see that for 100 cards, 100 is more than enough for what you need. For 100 cards, the price is $250. So I'm going to click that. And I'm going to say, now let us browse one of their designs. Okay, wait for this to load. And let's look at a design which I want to start editing. So I want to edit, let's see, what is something really good. Okay, let's look at this one. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to edit this design. Okay. Now the company name is actually me because I, as a problem solver, job seeker, I am the company. So the name will be, yeah. The company message is my value statement. Now, if you remember, if you recall yesterday, I had mentioned that I'm a consumer marketer. So my value statement would be, I help organizations scale profitable brands. Now, as you can see, I'm not saying I help organizations build brands, because that's a very boring vanilla statement. I've changed it to I help organizations scale profitable brands through my skills in marketing strategy. That's it. Organizational type of, yeah. That is my value statement. So when the hiring manager or when the HR manager looks at my business card, he knows exactly what I do. Okay. The full name can be deleted, job title can be deleted, you can add in your phone number. This, of course, is a dummy number, so don't try to call that for me. This is some random number. Let's assume I'm based in Mumbai. And then what you can do is you can start. A second. Yeah. You can start playing around with this. I mean, you will have more time. You will be able to drag and drop and make this better, align it better, remove this, remove this. You don't need a QR code, ignore that. Add in an image. So it's always good to have a picture in your business card. Remember, a business card is very different from a resume. The logic of not having a picture in the resume is very different from a business card. But within a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen, your entire business card is absolutely ready. And now, once this is ready, you can preview and see what your business card would look like. Yours will look better than mine because you will spend more time on it. But your aim of the business card is when you walk into an interview room to talk about your value statement, whatever that value statement is. You want to create a positive impression even before you walk into the interview room. So you've done that. Now I'm going to go and close this, go to next. You can choose the back, but you don't need it. So I'm going to continue without the back. Click, continue here. And you basically will be asked to make a payment, go to the final steps, and your card is ready. You can choose the paper, and within 3 days, you will have your business cards delivered to your doorstep anywhere in India. So in chat, write yes if you are going to experiment and try building your business cards. Or you can write no also if you want. I won't feel hurt. I won't feel angry. I won't get angry. Okay? But this is something you should do, because when you're trying to stand out from the competition, how do you do that? Every single step, every minute detail matters. So this was a business card. I'm great, very, very heartening to see that many of you are planning to try it out. Awesome. So like I'm saying, these are students from previous batches of this program. And there are many, many, many other samples that I've got where people are using it, they're printing out their cards, and they're going out into the marketplace and they're standing out from the competition. I want you to do that. Okay, try it out. And it's not an overkill. And overkill is when you go over top and you use something which okay, so keep in mind, guys, you have to build your brand. Either you are a commodity in the job market or you are a brand in the job market, and you have to decide how, where you want to be. It might make you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Growth will always happen outside your comfort zone. Do you think these people were comfortable when they built their business cards? No. When they started using them, when they're networking with HR managers, hiring managers, talent acquisition managers, they dish out their business cards and it makes a difference. Okay, now, then after that, when you're preparing for your interview, read your resume. That's a no-brainer. Plan your journey in advance, because when you look at Google Maps will tell you that the time to destination is 30 minutes. No, it is not 30 minutes. The time to destination, which is the interview room, is 30 plus 24 minutes, because the driving time according to Google Maps is 30 minutes. Parking in any location, even if you take your Uber or Ola or whatever, is 10 minutes. Walking to the building is 5 minutes. Entry at security in the building is 5 minutes. As you start stacking up all the time, from the time you leave home till the time you reach your destination, it's almost double of that. Okay, so arrive a lot earlier than you plan to. Now we come to planning your wardrobe. And I want to spend time here because this is critical when you are in an interview for an important position. What is your dress strategy? So in chat, let me know, do you have a dress strategy, right? Yes or no? If you have a strategy for what you're dressing, or do you just dress formally? Because dressing formal is not a strategy. Dressing formally is not a strategy. What is the strategy when you dress formally? Remember, dressing formally is not a strategy. Everyone dresses formally for an interview. Okay, so let's look at what you wear. The strategy is always dress one level above the role. So you need to first assess what is the role and what is the dress code for that role, and dress one level above that. For example, if you're applying for a role in a startup where the dress code is jeans and t-shirt, then dress slightly formally in formal clothes. If you're interviewing in a normal Indian company, wear a tie. If you are applying for an important role in MNC, wear a business suit. So you always first find out the dress code from a recruiter, an HR manager, past employers, existing employees, and once you have that dress code, dress one level above. Now, I'm going to give you 3 examples of dress codes. This is the first one. It's called smart casuals. Smart casuals is what many people who don't plan out their dress code will wear. So you can take a screenshot of this if you like. For women, I did not have an image where I have smart casuals for women in Indian ethnic wear, but you can definitely wear a salwar kameez. That's absolutely fine. Or a churidar kurta, that's fine. But for men, it has to be Western wear. So this is smart casuals. Number 2, business casuals. So business casuals is the safest and the best dress code across the board for any interview at any level, where you're wearing a jacket. It makes a big impact on how you come across. Okay. And finally, you have business formals. If you're applying for a role in banking, finance, law, then you have to be in business formals. So there are 3 dress combinations: smart casual, business casual, and business formals. Okay, moving on. For a virtual interview, do not ever dress like this guy. Okay, remember, for a virtual interview also, you should be dressed exactly as you dress for an in-person interview. Even if you have the best pink boxers in the world, please don't dress only with a formal shirt and pink boxers. You need to be very formally dressed. Because when you dress formally, your mind goes into an interview mode. Whereas if you dress like our friend here, your mind is still not in the interview mode because below you're wearing boxers. So you have to make sure that you are formally dressed from head to toe. Now, that was stage 1 of the interview process. We haven't even reached stage 2, and there's a stage 3 later. Right? Yes, in chat, if you realize now how much of preparation work is required for the interview. Right? Look at the amount of, you research the role, you research the people, you research the interviewer, you research you prepared your business cards, resume, though of course you carry along, but there is a lot of work which happens before an interview if you want to ace it. Now, let's talk about what you do during the interview. Simple stuff, but you'll be surprised how often people forget to switch off your phone. Put it on silent mode, keep it away from your, from the table. There's no reason why on an interview table, you should have your phone on the top. An interview is a very important occasion and your phone should be in your interview bag, the bag that you're carrying for the interview. Okay, now this is important. Please ask a lot of questions during an interview. Engage with the interviewer because the interviewer from time to time will start mentally drifting. We normally are good speakers. We talk a lot, but we find it hard to listen. And many interviewers, many hiring managers will start thinking about 1,000 other things while you are talking. When you're talking in an interview, your life is on the line, but you're thinking about other things. Like I can guarantee, as I'm talking to you, during the time that we have spent today, you're thinking about 1,000 other things also. Now, that is okay in a workshop, but in an interview, you want to engage the interviewer back from time to time in the interview so that you become memorable. When you are yapping away, chatting, the interviewer is saying, I have a presentation to give to my boss next week. Are my slides ready? Oh, I have a PTA for my child and I have to go on Saturday. My wife said, before you come home, wo sabzi mandi se sabzi leke aana. So those are random thoughts which are happening in the interviewer's mind while you're talking about mission critical work you have done at work. What you have to do from time to time is pull them back into the conversation by asking them questions which are building on the conversation, like, how would you have done this? Or what is your point of view? Always make an interviewer talk as much as possible. You will become memorable. Then listen more than you speak. Remember to listen actively to the conversation from the interviewer when they are speaking. When they ask a question, paraphrase it back to them and say, is this what you want me to answer? Read between the lines and figure out, is the interview going well or is it headed southwards? You can only do that if you listen very well during the interview. And every answer of yours should be between 2 to 5 minutes. Minimum 2 minutes in duration in terms of the answer and a maximum of 5 minutes. Now we come to after the interview, what do you do? And right now, there's just one thing to keep it very simple that I want you to do. And that is please send a thank you email within 24 hours of the interview getting over. That's important. Send a thank you email. Thank the interviewer for the time that they spent with you. It shows a lot of grace, a lot of courtesy. You can take a screenshot of this template. I'm not sending you this template because there is actually no template. You're thanking the interviewer for the time that they spent. But you become memorable when you do that. Now, the question is, Vikram, that's great, but how do I get the email address of the interviewer? Let's assume that the interviewer has interviewed you and now you want to send a thank you email. What do you do? To answer that, I need to stop sharing my screen and let us assume that you have interviewed me. Okay, you are the HR manager or the hiring manager. You have interviewed me. I'm Vikram Anand. I've come for a job. And let us assume that I have used all the principles of interviewing and the interview has gone off well. Let us assume that you like me professionally and it's a great interview. Now, at the end of the interview, what I would do is, I would ask you, so Mr. Hiring Manager, if I have any follow-up questions after the interview, can I send them to you? And the chances are very high. You will say, yeah, sure, absolutely you can. Then I would say, great, can I have your email address so that I can send them? You will never send follow-up questions. You're using that as an excuse to get the email address. So what you've done is, at the end of the interview, you're telling the hiring manager, if I have any follow-up questions, can I send them to you? And normally, if the interview has gone off well, they will always say, sure, send it to me. Suppose they say, no, send it to the HR manager. You should gently push back and say, I don't think so. The questions that I have are domain specific and I would love to send them to you. So that's what you need to do. Okay. All right. Moving on. Let me run a poll and find out, now that we're talking about Give me a second. Let's talk about this particular question. Thank you. We're talking about thank you emails. How many of us actually send thank you emails after every job interview? I would love to know from the crowd. How many of you do that? You had an interview, the interview has spent time with you, they've taken time out of their busy schedule. How many of you are thanking them for their time and getting noticed by them as somebody who's standing out from the crowd? And believe me, the results which I see every time, which I can see here, will shock you. Are you ready for it? 86% of us don't send a thank you note. Only 14% do. And if you're in the 14%, I congratulate you, hats off to you, because you will stand out from the competition. You are someone coming across as somebody with grace, style, class, and courtesy, who has the ability to thank the interviewer for the time that they spent. Now, if these people can get the email addresses of the interviewers, why can't the others? It's not top secret. There are many ways to get the email address out. You just have to be creative about it. But remember, when you send a thank you email, you are standing out from your competition. Okay, moving on from here, we're now going to look at interview strategy. And when it comes to interview strategy, there is a lot of strategy behind the art of answering. But the number one thing that I want to leave you with is this line. Please note it down. You can take a screenshot, but I would rather you note this down. ROI is greater than experience. So what does this mean? The hiring manager or the HR manager, right, is not interested in your experience or your skills or even your achievements. Actually, they want to know what is their ROI, return on investment. If they hire you, if they pay you a salary, will they get a higher return on investment versus your competitors for that role, or will somebody else give them a potentially higher ROI? That is the only thing they're interested in. You have to prove that you will bring them the maximum value versus the others if they hire you. You have to show that you fully understand what they care about and how what they care about, the problems that they have, you can overcome them with your experience. So the entire game of interviewing is all about showing ROI is greater than experience, that your return on investment by investing in you will be better than if they hire the other people who are competing for the same role. So now I'm going to share a concept with you called the airport test. So in chat, write yes or no if you're familiar with the concept of the airport test. How many of you are familiar? Just write yes or no. So 2 of you are, the rest of you are not. Okay. Now pay attention. I'm going to answer this question. What is the airport test? This airport test is very important, and it comes into play every time you go for an interview. So the airport test basically says that when an interviewer is interviewing you, apart from asking you domain questions, they're trying to figure out, hey, if I hire you and tomorrow you join my company or our company, and we have to go on a business trip, we go to the airport and the flight is delayed for 3 hours, will I enjoy the time that I will be spending with you, or will I run in the opposite direction? So it is a test of your cultural fit in the company, and are you a likable person? That's called the airport test. Now here is something very interesting. Whether you realize it or not, you put me through the airport test yesterday. Because and just write yes or no in chat when I say this. Yesterday when you came for the first day, you were evaluating, should I spend the 3 days with Vikram? Will it be boring? Will it be interesting? Do I want to spend the second day? And the fact that you are here proves that in your eyes, at least, I passed the airport test. Because if I had not passed, you would not be here, right? You would have bounced off. Now, you may not have known about the airport test, but you actually applied the airport test on me. So the airport test applies in every interpersonal communication. You may not know it, but you use it every time you meet a stranger. And the fundamental baseline is, would I like to spend time with this person or not? And if the answer is no, you will leave immediately. And if the answer is yes, so how do you crack the airport test? You can't mug up lessons for it. You can't learn anything. You just have to be your genuine, authentic self. You've got to be a nice human being. You have to come across as somebody that senior management would like to spend time with. Okay. All right, moving on. Now, when it comes to your initial question that you are asked for any role, the initial questions are actually very simple. They are basically testing whether you are qualified for a particular role or not. And that's great, because assuming that you're good at your work, which you hopefully are. Mofis Jamdar, thank you very much for your kind words. I appreciate you. Initial questions are basically, are you qualified for that role? But it is the later questions, will you fit into the culture of the role, culture of the organization, which are very difficult to answer. Because for important roles, especially in mid and senior management, it is not the value you bring to the table, but also will you fit into the management committee of the company. If you're leading a team of 10, 20, 50, 100 people, will they like looking up to you as a boss? Will you fit into the corporate culture? Those are the tricky questions to answer. Bullet point 3, an interview is a dialogue. So remember to ask as many questions as possible. And now I'm now getting into a very advanced part of interviewing. Please pay attention. If you have stayed with me so far, you are now going to hit a bonanza. You're going to hit a bonus, because I'm going to talk to you about something called control the narrative. In an interview, whoever controls the narrative, the flow of conversation, will always win. And you, my dear job seeker problem solver, have to control the narrative. So how do you do that? Because the point is, in an interview, if the interviewer looks at your resume and starts asking you questions, they have control, you don't. And if you want to be memorable, if you want to be somebody who stands out from the other people, you have to control the flow. So you do that through 2 methods. I'll explain both of them. One is called vox pop. Vox pop is Latin for voice of the people, and it is ideal for roles in customer service, clients facing roles like sales, marketing, in fact, even for HR and purchase. Now, what is vox pop? Vox pop is a video clip where you interview your target audience and you create a small clip. Now, let me give you context to this. I'll just come back here. Way back in time, I'm going to go back to that slide, but I'll give you context to it. Way back in time, when I was in the Indian corporate sector, I was applying for the role of CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at Cargill. Cargill in India is an agro-commodity firm which manufactures edible oil. They manufacture brands like Nature Fresh and Gemini edible oil. And I was applying for that role, and my competition was very stiff. It was a high-paying job, great designation, etc. I cleared the first few rounds, and I was now in the final round. The final round was with the managing director, the chief executive officer, the CFO, and some people from the board. And I knew that I had to crack it. But I also knew that if they read my resume, they will have control over the flow, and I didn't want that to happen. Okay. There was a gap of 1 week between my previous interview and my final interview. So what I did was, I took my phone and I went into the marketplace and I interviewed Kirana merchants who stock edible oil. They were either stocking Cargill or Adani Wilmar's Fortune Oil or Marico Saffola Oil, and I would ask them questions like, what's it like working with the Cargill team? What are the challenges you're facing? I met retailers, distributors, stockists. Then I went and met homemakers who were using edible oil. I asked them questions about Cargill, and I packaged that into a little video clip. Now let's go back into the presentation. So remember, this is work I had done before the interview. So I went to a lot of their retail stores. I took photographs of their signages, what was right with it, my views of what was wrong with their signages. And I went and met their, the merchants, the Kirana merchants. I had lots of cups of hot steaming tea with them as I chatted with them about the challenges they were facing. And then I met homemakers who were using Cargill edible oil. I asked them about their experience, and I packaged this all together into a video clip. Now, I want you to imagine in your mind this scenario. So I remember this clearly even to this day. It was a nice, bright Thursday morning, and I was invited for this interview in Gurgaon, Cargill's office in Gurgaon. So at least at that time, and I walked into the conference room. On the other side of the table, we had the managing director, the CEO, the CFO, and the top brass. We exchanged some pleasantries about the weather, the traffic, and then they looked down to read my resume. And that was my cue to say, hey guys, I didn't say guys, but I said, gentlemen, by the way, before we start, over the last couple of days, I was in the marketplace talking to your customers and your consumers about your brands, and they had something to say. Would you like to see it? So what do you think happened? They dropped the resume and said, sure, absolutely, we would love to see it. What are you talking about? I opened my laptop and I played that 4-minute video clip, the Vox Pop, where consumers, customers, channel partners, retail partners were talking about the issues they had with Cargill. Ladies and gentlemen, from that second onwards, the interview stopped because it was no longer an interview, it was a discussion. And I was controlling the flow because only I knew what was in the video clip. And they asked me to play the video clip 3 times. And that 45-minute interview became a 2-hour discussion. They canceled the rest of the meetings. That group of 4 or 5 people and I played that video. They asked me about my impression. Now, I'm an outsider. So I'm not expected to have solution. I'm not a management consultant. But they were blown by the fact that a candidate had gone and created a video clip, which they saw, and an audio-visual medium is always very impactful, right? So they saw that. Obviously, later I got the job. My point here is, think about, if your role allows you, think about creating a video clip. It does not have to be professionally edited. It just has to be a video clip on your phone. Almost every role has an end customer or an intermediary customer. Just meet them. Now, I was in sales. Imagine if you are in HR. If you are applying for a role in HR in a company, take your phone and go and meet former employees of the company and say, why did you leave the company? What were the issues? Or how could you have made the environment better? If you're in purchase, go and meet some vendors of the company that you're interviewing in and ask them, what are the challenges you're facing? So you're only limited by your imagination. So that is strategy number 1. You will dominate the work, the conversation if you use the Vox Pop. This is method number 1. Okay. Now, there are some times when you cannot use a Vox Pop. Maybe you are in a role where a Vox Pop cannot be used. So what do you use? Then you have plan B. So let me share with you plan B. And before we go to plan B, in chat, write MB if you're mind blown that you can use a method like a Vox Pop to stand out from your competition. A little 4-minute video clip. How difficult is that? It's creative, it's challenging if you haven't done it earlier, but just put together maybe some pictures, do a show and tell. So that is plan B. Now, that's plan A. Now, if you can't, and by the way, I've used this method not once, but a couple of times earlier when I was applying for roles. So I know that it works very, very well. Now, if you cannot do that, then you should use a pitch deck. Now, what is a pitch deck? A pitch deck is a presentation you create, and it is ideal if, for example, you are in IT or pharma or consulting or manufacturing. It's like a case study. Prepare a case study. The case study or the pitch deck is a series of 4 or 5 slides about either a win that you want to showcase in the interview, or if you know what are the problems the company is facing and you have an idea of how to solve them, then your suggestions. I know way back in time, I think this was about a couple of years back, head of marketing at Nokia, it's amazing. She got the job. I'll just come back to the pitch deck. What she did was, when she went for a final interview, her pitch deck was written on a napkin, on a tissue paper napkin, the entire marketing plan for Nokia from her perspective. On one piece of paper, she took it for the interview. Obviously, the pitch deck made a lot of sense. She got the job. People are very creative in the way they come across. It's not just verbal. So let's go back to the pitch deck. Now, here is how you would create your pitch deck So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link with you. Some of you are familiar with this site. It's called Canva. When you log in and create your account, and you can create a free account, go into the templates area, go into this first dashboard that you come to and type in the word pitch deck. And you will get lots and lots of pitch decks. Now, these are pre-formatted slides which are created for you. Keep it simple. So let's assume that you like this one, or maybe, I mean, there are many of them. Blue is normally a good color. Let's assume I like this one. So I'll come here, click here. There are many other options you can see. Customize this template. And then you can create a pitch deck about either a recent win you have had or anything that you want to showcase. The content you have to decide, but a pitch deck will allow you to showcase yourself in a very, very different way. And you always present the pitch deck right at the very beginning of the interview. So as you settle down, before they look at the resume, you should say, by the way, gentlemen, I have something that I want to show you. I put together a few slides. Would you like to see it? Get their permission and right away show the pitch deck. You will dominate and control the narrative and flow of the interview. So if you cannot create Vox Pop, please try creating a pitch deck. Here is a screenshot I want to share with you of a student from an advanced batch of mine. And he says, hi Vikram, hope you're doing well. I'm a part of the current batch of the coaching sessions and I wanted to share my experience of using the approach you suggested for my interview discussions. I applied the Vox Pop technique for a relevant position and brought a pitch deck to the interview. The feedback was excellent, with the hiring manager specifically praising the pre-work I had done. The entire interview then majorly focused on my strategy and findings, etc., etc. So people are going the entire 9 yards. They're not only creating a Vox Pop, but they're also creating a pitch deck together. Imagine the impact that Abhinav would have had. Okay. I want to share a case study with you. So here's a student of mine from my advanced program, Kapil Mehra. And Kapil has 20 years of experience. He was laid off and he went on a career break, lost his financial savings because he tried to start a business, but then he bounced back by using a pitch deck strategy. So let's watch what he did. I want you to hear from him how he used the pitch deck to get his job.
In particularly, the techniques and the things that you taught me really helped me secure this job. I learned a lot about how to make my branding on LinkedIn, how to work on my resume, how to prepare for interview. Not only these things, but very importantly, how to market myself differentially and distinct from all the other job seekers.
Right.
I got 4 or 5 really nice prospects through this process. And of 4 or 5 prospects, I was able to freeze down onto this position. During the interview process, I implemented a strategy of being differential, being ready with a deck, trying to network with the team beforehand. And all of that came handy because for this particular organization, I prepared after speaking to 3 or 4 leaders in the organization, understanding what the current challenges in this role requires to. I prepared a very detailed deck. So my entire interview was not the regular interview of asking, tell me about yourself. It started with my deck only, and then it went on discussing only deck. So they were very impressed with the way I prepared, I researched, and that's what helped me secure the position. So that's how my journey has been, Vikram. I think a lot I owe to you in terms of clarifying and putting my strategies in place, trying to be focused, continuously doing engagement on LinkedIn with new set of leaders, trying to reach out to people. I think that all helped. At a high level, I think the 3 things that really worked for me was a mindset shift, the structured plan, and then consistency of networking and branding on LinkedIn. I think these 3 things really helped me through the process.
Mindset, structured plan, and consistency. You nailed it. Let's talk about this new thing that you brought to the table, the pitch deck. What made you decide to go in for the pitch deck and what was the response? So you use the pitch deck basis the program. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yes. So for this particular organization, initially I was like, how do I go about preparing? My first screening round happened with the HR person, and I got to know who will be the second set of people I would be meeting. So I went through the LinkedIn profile, and I was also preparing for another organization's interview where they asked me to prepare an assignment. So while I was preparing that assignment, it clicked me like, why don't I make it for this one also? Why don't I proactively make something for them and present to them? And that worked for me here. While the other pitch deck also went through, and that's one of the open discussion I have. These guys were quick enough to close my position and get me onboarded.
Do you see that in this case, what did Kapil do? Kapil first did research on senior leaders of the company. Then when he went to HR, he found out who's the interviewer. See, he got the name of the HR manager. Then he created not one but two pitch decks and he got both the offers despite having a 6-month career gap. Because the pitch deck propelled him forward and made him differential and differentiated from his competition. And if Kapil can do it with a 6-month career gap, so can you. All right, moving on. Okay, now in terms of the structure to answer a question, some of you are familiar with the STAR network because we are all taught in our MBA classes the STAR network. This framework is a better framework, slightly better. It's called the CARL framework, which stands for in an answer, give a context. What is the context to your answer? What are the actions you took? What were the results? And what were the learnings? The learnings are very important in any answer. So let me give you an example using the CARL framework. Now, if I were asked this question, tell me about a time when you had to manage a tight deadline on a project. That is the question. So, and this is a true story, by the way. The context was I was asked by my boss to repair damage which had been done to one of our brands in Kargil. So we had lost a lot of market share in the East. And this was a brand called Nature Fresh Shakti Edible Oil. So in 2011, I was asked to relaunch the brand. So that is the context, okay? The context is relaunch the brand and claim back market share. That is the C of CARL. What were the action steps? So then I would mention that I created a war room in my team. We started interacting with R&D. We interacted with market research. I would expand on how we interacted with our ad agency to create ads, and we created a full marketing plan. So those is action. Results is we did 100% clawback of market share in 6 months. Whatever market share we had lost, we had clawed back. And my learnings were that it was possible to claw back market share on the basis of value and not price, because while we were getting back market share, we actually raised the price of the product. We got back market share by positioning on value and not price. So I have used the CARL framework in answering this question: context, action, results, and learning. You can use the STAR framework, but I will always recommend this framework works much better. It's also easier to remember. Context, action, results, and learning. Okay, now we move to interview questions. And what I'm going to do is, I am going to, in the interest of time, I will give you a set of questions that you definitely should prepare for. But I want to focus more on that last question that HR will ask you. They will always ask you this question: do you have any questions for us? And that's a very, very critical part of the entire interview. Let me explain why. So give me a moment. I'm just going to skip to one part which is important. These are not very important, but this one is very, very important. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask us? So what happens is that your answer to that question, do you have any questions you'd like to ask us, makes up your recency effect, which is the last impact, okay? The last impact you have with the interviewer before you leave the interview room. When they say, do you have any questions you'd like to ask us? So this is how I'm going to give you now actually a set of questions that you can ask. These are about 4 or 5 questions. Pick up 1 or 2 that work for you. So question number one that you can ask them is, 1 year from today, what would the new hire need to have achieved to exceed your expectations? So now you are positioning yourself as an overachiever. Remember, you want to create a very favorable, positive impression before you leave the interview room. So 1 year from today, what would the new hire need to have achieved to exceed expectations? Second one, what is the most unexpected thing you, as in you, the interviewer, you have learned while working here? So now you're bringing yourself on the same level as the interviewer, and you're making the interviewer think, because they're not used to getting questions from the interviewee, that is you, like this. Mr. Interviewer, apart from people, what is your favorite part of working in this company? You have to remove apart from people, otherwise the interviewer will say, oh, our team, our people are the biggest asset, and the people are great. So you remove that. You have said apart from people, why do you like coming to work here every Monday morning? Can you see how you are subtly shifting the power balance in your favor? Mr. Interviewer, what goals has your hiring manager set for you in the next 1 year, and how can this new hire help you achieve them? Mr. Interviewer, can you tell me of a time when a person was encouraged to step outside their job description in the company? So you're making the interviewer, you're pushing them into the corner, metaphorically speaking, and you're getting them to think about a situation where a company encouraged somebody to step outside the box and think creatively. Every HR manager will want to position their company as a creative company. But now you're saying, give me an example, tell me of a time when a person was encouraged to step out of their job description. You will become memorable. Mr. Interviewer, if you could improve one thing about this company, what would it be? See, people ask very safe questions like, tell me more about the job, or tell me about the team I'm going to be joining. These are very safe questions. And if you ask a safe question, you are not memorable. But if I ask the interviewer this question, if you could improve one thing about this company, what you're saying basically is, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, the company is not perfect. So if you could improve one thing about the company, what would it be? You are basically getting memorable. Mr. Interviewer, you mentioned that this new hire would be tasked with a particular challenge. But what has the team done to overcome this challenge, and why hasn't it worked? So in chat, write MB if you're mind blown by the fact that these questions can completely reposition you from the competition right at the end of when the interview is getting over. By the time they have already framed an opinion about you, but at the end here, you're pushing them back, and they're saying, oh my God, who is this candidate? Nobody's ever asked us 1 year from today, what do I have to do to overachieve your expectations? Or what is the most unexpected thing you are going to learn that you have learned here? Or why do you like coming to work? Nobody has the guts to ask these questions. But when you do, you stand out, and that is the aim, right? So now the good news is I've taught you a lot, and I know it has been very overwhelming. We have covered 3 hours of content. So I'm going to share with you 2 things. Number one, I will share with you the list of the job interview checklist. Everything that you should do in an interview, before the interview, during the interview, after the interview. So I'm going to email this to you. This will come to you via email. And I'm also going to share with you a list of 68 job interview questions that you should prepare for, starting first with the questions to ask the interviewer. So all the questions that I've just shared with you are here in this template. They will come to you tomorrow. So question 1 to question 7 are the questions that you can prepare for and plan and ask the interviewer. And then after that, these are questions that the interviewer will ask you. So there are a list of about 68 questions. And obviously there are no answers because everybody's answer is different, but I've given you 68 scenarios to plan for. So this will also come to you tomorrow. Okay? In chat, write me if you want both of them. Accordingly, we'll send it out. Good stuff. So everybody wants it. I'll make sure that my team sends it out to everyone. If you did not get yesterday's templates, I'll show you how to get that in a moment. Okay. So as we summarize today's session and we're coming to the end of the session, before we go in for a Q&A, in chat, write confident, write the word confident in chat. If you are now very confident about cracking an interview, once you go to it with all the knowledge and the interview questions and the checklist and the vox pop and the pitch deck and the research that strategies you now have. Awesome. Good to see all the confident messages coming in. I want each of you to remain in the lion's mode. And that is what is my hope and my dream and my aspiration for you. Good stuff. So what are you going to be learning tomorrow? Tomorrow you're going to be learning about, and this is my grand finale. Tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow is my grand finale. You're going to be learning about where are the best jobs in your field. Number one, how do you connect with the best A category recruiters in your field? Who are there? I'll share their names with you. How do you develop a networking system with them? How do you create an impressive LinkedIn profile? How do you build your brand on LinkedIn? And for many of you who have written between yesterday and today to us, I'll share with you our done for you services. So we have an advanced program where we will write your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and a lot of other stuff. I'll talk about that in tomorrow's program. And for those of you who want to go deeper in your journey with me and get one-on-one support from me, I'll share with that. Not today, today is not the right time, but towards the end of the session tomorrow. So right now, take a look at this slide. See you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. sharp. The templates will be sent by email as they were sent yesterday. If you did not receive yesterday's templates, please write into hello@vikramanand.com and we will send out the templates to you again. Okay, remember, write into hello@vikramanand.com, say that I did not get the templates. We will check your payment status on the program and make sure that once that is sorted, we will send it out to you. No problem at all. We are here to support you. For those of you who have paid for an AI resume review, submit your resume in PDF format along with the payment receipt. Send it to hello@vikramanand.com, and then we will make sure that up to, you can send it in up to 7 days from now, and usually within 2 or 3 days after your submission, we will do the AI resume review and send it back to you. Okay. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's session for the teaching part. If you want to stay back for the Q&A, we will start the Q&A in about 3 minutes from now. But if you're leaving at this point of time, I'll open up chat so that you can say goodbye. Chat is open and you can say goodbye and join me tomorrow again. I know it's about 11:45 for those of you who are leaving. That's absolutely fine. My aim today for the next half an hour, 45 minutes is to do a Q&A with people I have not taken questions from yesterday. So if I've taken questions from you yesterday, I will not be taking your questions today. It's today's for people who have not interacted with yesterday. But for all the others, thank you so much in the chat for your kind messages, for your wishes. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you again tomorrow at 8:30 for the grand finale. Don't miss it. It's the biggest and the best on day 3. Right. So let's come back again in 3 minutes. We'll take a 3-minute break. I'll grab some coffee and some water, and then I'll come and answer your questions. For the others who are leaving, goodbye. And for those who are staying, I'll be back in 3 minutes.